They have finally announced the revolution 30 years after its fact. They held back the announcement to avoid crowds and give the producers a chance to ready their revolutionary products for the eager, gluttonous revolutionary market. All hail Erysichthon! They have muzzled the revolution, extracted its fangs and declawed it, and then offered it for sale on national TV. They have extracted its bones and given us a gelatinous substitute. The punkers died. They were mortified by the good humor man with the safety pin in his nose, who hunted us down into the suburbs to cram capitalism down our throats. We choke, but we swallow because we are junkies sweating for our sweets. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Let us consume until our stomachs rot and our colons collapse. All hail Erysichthon! Puree the punk rocker into palatable pap, innocuous in effect. Strain it through a Star Wars outtake and sip it through a silly straw. Sugar it into submission so the only dangers of tooth decay. Cream puffs filled with mousse styling cream, black leather jogging suits. Introduce it to capitalism and pimp it to mass production. Ignore those provocateurs that you can't buy, or addict them on cheap drugs. Turn freedom into a board game from Parker Brothers, with an alternative version to come in the fall from Milton Bradley. Hasbro and Kenner will have kids' sets by Christmas. You better get with it. It's new wave. It's the latest fad. It's society's way of digesting the unsocial. Capitalism is a great chef who can transform raw meats like beatniks, heads, and punk into savory souffles of boppers, hippies, and new wave. Next time, we must use enough spice to induce indigestion. Erysichthon was an anorexic. We cannot sell them death. Death is the greatest sales tool since sex. Death is sold in whiskey ads and cigarette ads and television commercials. We must sell them life. That will stick in their throats and choke their senses. Life is not a commercially viable product. Life is unsanitary, undigestible, and unwholesome, undesirable, lacking the appeal of death and sex. Life is a swamp which belches methane and mosquitoes. Drink swamp water and swim in algae green slime. Attractive, is it not? Insect repellent pollutes the skin. Get used to the mosquitoes. They're not the only blood suckers in the bog. Beware the quicksand. It will suck you under. Watch out for the wild dogs and bobcats. Sample the skunk cabbage. It makes a most noxious salad. Here is a patch of ivy to roll in, itching ivy, adverse to civilized skin. A mud hole full of leeches and planarian worms, incubator of impetigo. Suck it in, take it in, dizzily reeling. This will stave the appetite and cure the gross consumptive. Nature runs amok. Life grows in an uncontrollable cancer. A movement is afoot. The stagnant pool belies its current. The desert teems with life. How can it be sold in New York when it can't be assembled in Detroit? Oh, they'll find a way to bottle it and sell it. When you have a society of consumers eagerly waiting to test their lives on new products, you can reduce any movement into a fad. With a tried and true movement, you needn't any test market. The tests are all taken, results are in, and the smart investor knows to where to place their bet. And we will choke, but we will drink. Fevers for our malaria, swamp water fits. Quinine, iodine, atropine. 3 delicious flavors: illness, injury, and death. And the great society thrives, filling the swamps and swilling in cheap garbage. Erysichthon needs a staple in his belly to pursue a staple diet. Beat me, baby, we like pain. It swells and swells, the body bloats with bile. Let's set them to feed on themselves. They will eat so much and then collapse. Poor Erysichthon, lament his death. Plant on his grave Kiri's sacred grove, that he might nourish trees who never nourished himself. Erysichthon is dead, who lived too long. Unnatural was his reign. And now that the king is dead, we, subject to he, are free. Freed from his spell, we can see that the emperor unclothed was an ogre who kept us from crossing the bridge, that he might fatten us to feed his hunger. Erysichthon is dead, but Erysichthon bore a son to follow in his footsteps, and we are much too humane to murder a child